so then I better deliver. This one is a mermaid encounter. This story is Tati's story. Thank you for submitting your story, babes. So her name is Tati and she's from Dominica. So Tati lives rather close to the beach. So at night, she would love to go outside, take a walk, go on a swim. And this was very common in the area that she lived in because it was a very safe area. Nothing ever happens. So this wasn't just Tati's thing. This was like the neighborhood's thing. So it was routine that Tati would go out to the beach, swim, have a good time, relax out there, and then eventually just return back home expecting nothing because nothing ever would happen again. Except for when something did happen that one night. Let's get into it. So one night, it was drizzling outside, but she still felt called to go swimming. So Tati would actually head down to the beach and go swimming. But when Tati got to the beach, she mentioned that something felt off. But her being her, she would just shrug it off and just get in the water anyway and just go in with her swimming. So on the beach that she lived, there were boats that were docked. So while she's in the water swimming, she decided let her just swim to one of those boats. And mind you, Tati loves swimming. So even though those boats were in a cute distance, she was dedicated to like swim to one of them. So as Tati is swimming to the boat and she gets pretty close to the boat, she feels something swimming underneath her. And Tati just, again, not trying to think anything of it, is like, this has to be a fish. It has to be an ocean, whatever animal. I mean, it was definitely weird, but her telling herself that it was fishes allows her to make sense of the situation. But in these situations, logic can only take you so far, and Tati was about to discover that lesson. So Tati gets to the boat and she pulls herself up, taking a break from swimming, because like I mentioned before, the dock boats were actually pretty far of a distance to shore. So Tati is up on the boat, trying to catch her breath, chilling, relaxing, taking in the environment until she looks over to the other side of the boat and sees what looks like a lady sitting on the other side of the boat with a very, very long black hair. And this creature, should we say, is just staring at her. And when Tati finally made direct eye contact with this creature, it would jump back in the water and swim away. And at this point, Tati was shook. At this point, she's just trying to make sense of what just happened. And keep in mind, Tati never encountered anything like that in the past. And mind you, Tati still has to swim back to shore. Needless to say, she didn't want to get back in that water. And now Tati is just stuck where she's at, just staring where she saw that mermaid was sitting there. She's just infatuated, just staring at that spot and not moving, not knowing what to do, not processing anything that just happened, basically. So Tati would go in to tell herself it was some sort of fish. And Tati stayed out there for a very long time contemplating. She stayed out there, recalled for what felt like hours, before she decided to start swimming back to shore. But as she's swimming, she just kept looking back to see, did I see what I actually saw? Now here's the thing, if you don't want to confirm what you saw, why are you looking back? And as she was looking back, she wasn't seeing anything. Up until she got really close to shore, she took one final look, and what she saw was double the first time. Because this time when she turned around, she saw not one, not two, but 3 mermaids in the water, standing there staring at her. They weren't moving or anything, they weren't doing anything to her, but they were just all in unison, just staring at Tati. So Tati rushed out of the water and got back to shore, to which she would stop and turn around one more time to confirm what she saw, and fair enough, they had not moved. They were still there, all 3 of them, in unison, staring at Tati, watching her every move. She quickly got her stuff and scurried off the beach. As if this wasn't freaky enough, when she gets home, immediately, Tati's grandmother says, "You're one of the lucky ones." And Tati being confused because literally, like, what is she talking about? The encounter that she just had wasn't the first thing that would come to her mind, because how would her grandmother know? She just walked through the door and she hadn't even told her about it. So she asked her grandmother what she meant, and her grandmother, with a blank expression in her face, would say, "Didn't you meet my friends tonight? They've been dying to meet you." And at that point, Tati knew for sure she was not tripping. She didn't mention before, but her grandmother loved also going to the beach, okay? Up until she had a terrible knee injury and she stopped going. She told Tati that the mermaids were never going to harm her and that she was safe, because the mermaids know that she is in fact her grandchild, and that it was actually okay for her to go swimming at night if she pleases. And that is why they never interfered with her any other time that she went swimming before, except for that time, because at this point they were actually eager to meet her. Tati says that she is still processing this and it's still pretty weird. And since then, her grandmother has passed and she still feels that pulling feeling to the water. But Tati stays far away from the beach because she fears that if she goes back, she will have another encounter that she is not ready to have. If you guys enjoyed this story, go ahead and leave a like and leave a comment telling me your thoughts and how you felt about this and how you would react in a situation like that. For more of the mermaid stories, which I will be dropping more of on my YouTube page once it reaches 500 subscribers, and we are so close. We are just 50 subscribers away. So one of y'all 50, y'all go ahead to my YouTube and subscribe right now if you haven't. If you go on my TikTok page, you will see where it says Instagram. If you click on that, my Instagram link and my YouTube link will pop up. Subscribe to my YouTube, and while you're there, just go ahead and follow me on Instagram so I know you fuck with me. Anyway, my abducted humans. Yeah. If you have a story that you want me to tell, feel free to submit it at submitalienstories@gmail.com. Or you can DM me on Instagram or right here on TikTok, which would take me a little bit longer to get to because obviously I want to prioritize the email for submissions. Don't want to leave you guys, but good night, my abducted humans. And it's about to get a whole lot better. This story is a submission from Barbados. Well, I guess you could say the encounter happened in St. Lawrence. It's a beach. So basically, homegirl says she was always a critic when it comes to mermaids. She never believed in them. She never had a reason to. And on top of that, although she grew up in the Caribbean, her family wasn't involved in any type of witchcraft, voodoo, or anything like that, or obia. So to her, there was like mermaids, what the fuck? But she said after what happened to her, she would become the black sheep of the family because now she could never go back. So she says she grew up a creative, like she was always dancing and like doing things within her community. She was always into the arts, doing dance competitions and all that good stuff. And she was also captain of her dance team. And at that point, she had already gotten to university. So she's 19, 20. So basically, one day after rehearsal, her and the entire dance team took a little trip down to the beach. They wanted to stay somewhere nice, so they went down to St. Lawrence. And on top of that, it's a touristy area, so why would anything happen? So at this point, it's getting late and everybody done fell asleep but her. So she decided to go take a walk down at the beach. And she says upon getting to the beach, she can hear this beautiful melody. Now, she can't tell where it's coming from, but it was so beautiful. She didn't even, like I said, she was never a believer of like the mystical stuff. So like she would have never chucked it up to it being mermaid. So she assumed somebody from a distance because out there, like, it's not like in New York City where there's buildings everywhere, it's a pretty open space. So if somebody's playing music like at a distance, it's possible that she could hear it on the beach. She says that she couldn't even describe the type of music that she was hearing. Like it almost sounded like whales and like the most talented vocalist of all time doing the highest pitch note that she's ever heard. In the background, even though it doesn't sound like instruments, it almost does. And we're gonna call her Chelsea. Chelsea just being so intrigued is just standing on this beach, just vibing out. It's a good night. She's looking up. She can see the stars. Beautiful. Until she starts to feel euphoric. Like she's in love. Like she feels like she wanna start dancing to the music type shit. She says she start dancing like she going in. She doing her thing, winding her waist, doing choreo down at the beach, having a good time. It was just her on the beach, keep in mind. And she's having such a great time. She takes her hair down. She's whipping it. Like, it is great. She said the only weird thing was she felt like weirdly it was her dancing to something or to someone. And then suddenly she starts to feel watched. Like somebody got their eyes on her. And her being on the beach by herself late at night, she starts to look around feeling a little bit paranoid. She looks around. No one's there. So she's like, yeah, it's probably just in her mind anyway. The music is still going. This is a safe area, like. She said then suddenly the singing intensified. So it went from regular Ariana Grande notes to, I don't fucking know, the highest note you can think of. And it was so loud that Chelsea had no choice but to stop and look into the water. She says now she's looking into like ocean, like an open ocean. And she sees nothing. So she's just like, what the fuck? She says at this point her heart starts beating, and even though she's starting to feel uncomfortable at this point, she just did not have the urge to leave. And as she's looking out into the ocean, she gets the brilliant idea that she should just go for a swim. Maybe the water will help her shake off some of this anxiety and it'll be fine. She'll just walk back in and it'll be nothing. Again, she's a skeptic. She says takes her pants off and then she gets in the water. She says she gets in the water, she starts swimming around, dipping her head in and like, getting her hair wet. I have my hair wet too for the occasion. She's like dipping her head, coming back up, and it's cool. And she said how everything went down is what truly scared her. Because when she went to go dip herself underneath the water, what she saw, never in a million years did she think that she would have seen that. She says she dips under the water, her eyes closed, and she opens them. And standing directly in front of her is a creature. And what she described this creature as is nothing like I heard somebody describe a mermaid before. That is if it was even a mermaid. Anyway, I hate to do this to y'all, but TikTok is not gonna push my 10-minute videos. Part 2. While we are here, our YouTube channel is so close to 5,000 subscribers. So thank you guys so much. All my abducted humans, y'all really do be coming through for me. A lot of y'all still don't follow me on Instagram. And to me, that's bonkers. And if you follow me on Instagram, where y'all at? But follow me here on TikTok. And I know some of y'all be watching my stories multiple times and don't follow me. Use this as a sign to follow me right now. I'll wait. Thank you. Anyway, I'm dropping part 2 tonight. Okay, sorry. Back with a part 2. Basically, when Chelsea gets under the water and she opens her eyes, she says that she sees one of the ugliest creatures that she's ever seen, like ever. Even through like the movie depictions of these creatures, like she's never seen anything like it. She said that the skull was like really, really skinny. So it was like humanoid-ish. The hands, like the arms were extremely skinny. The fingernails were like really pointy and skinny. She described the skin to be green. And she also said that her hair was really midnight black and long. And from her stomach down were scales. So she says she gets up and tries to escape from the water at this point. So she knows that there's a creature right underneath her and she needs to get past the creature to get to shore. But she doesn't want to go back under the water to face whatever the fuck that was. So basically she decided that she was just going to doggy paddle around that spot. And she says she's going, and she can feel like there's a bunch of whatever those creatures were behind her. She says she can feel them watching her, just like going, just trying to get back to safety. And as she's getting to shore, she says she feels something soft, like just brush against her leg. It was so soft that she thought maybe it was a seaweed. Just keep going. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Then she feels something else. But this time, it felt rough. She said she felt something scratchy at her feet. But she's almost at the shore, so she's just going, right? Then suddenly, something grabs her feet and yanks her back further into the water. So she didn't actually get pulled under the water. She got yanked back into the water. And she says while they're pulling her, she's trying to like, fight and stuff. And she's like swallowing a lot of water. Water's getting in her nose. She's freaking out. Then she says once they finally stop dragging her, she says they get to a point and she stops. And at this point, she's just in the water, treading water and just like not knowing what to do because she tried to escape and like it just did not work. So at this point, like she says she had reached a level past freaking out to the point where at this point, she was calm and she had accepted that she was about to. She said then suddenly 3 of them pop out in front of her. And she said all of them, even though they had the green skin, all looked distinctively different. She said one of them had white eyes with no pupils. The other one had like bluish eyes and the other one had like greenish eyes. But still really skinny, green skin, and just really like imagine like just really creepy looking. And as Chelsea is just standing there accepting her fate, she hears a voice in her mind. And the voice said, "We're taking you somewhere special. There's a job to be done. And you've been chosen to do it." This story has so many twists and turns. Like it's not where you think it's gonna go. I know you guys don't like part 2s, part 3s, and part 4s. I did have to push myself to record this today. And I also need TikTok to keep pushing out my videos. But I'm not going to work today, so I'll be home. So I'll most likely post part 2 later today. I promise. I actually promise this time. Okay, I take that back. We'll see. Depending on how much you guys bully me for a part 2. But yes, please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have more of these stories, full stories on YouTube. So once the creatures said what they said to her telepathically, telling her that there's a mission and she's been chosen to do it, And Chelsea recalls having questions at the time, but before she can even vocalize those questions, those creatures then started swirling all around her. And they're going pretty fast, and she's just caught dead in the center. And as they're swirling around her, the singing would resume, but this time they're singing a very familiar melody. Chelsea recalls them singing a song that her grandmother used to sing to her to calm her down as a child. And Chelsea says that hearing those melodies and hearing that familiar song would put her into ease. And once she was at ease, she said she felt one of them grab her hands, and then they just started traveling underwater and through the water. She said they were traveling so fast that she didn't even really get to see what was happening around her until she arrived at this cave. She said in this cave, like, there was like human skulls, there were like candle waxes, random human things like miscellaneous items, like a lighter, some gold and silver cups, and out of the cave emerges this mermaid. And she said for whatever reason, she could tell that that one was different from the ones who took her. She had this glowing aura. It is as though she was glowing in the water. It is as though she was illuminating so you could be able to see. She seemed like she was almost like a source of light. She said this one had scales leading all the way up here on her skin. All the arms were scaly, so they had scales all over. Again, long and matted hair. Her hair was pitch black, and she was also green-skinned. However, because she had all these scales and because she was illuminating, it is as though her scales looked like greenish and bluish. And then she had fins. And if you're wondering, Chelsea says that at this point, she is fully breathing underneath the water. She is standing there in awe. This lady told her that basically she was chosen for this mission and she had a choice to make. She could either take the offer and go on and fulfill that, or she wouldn't accept the offer and wind up somehow back in bed and would not remember any of this. She says the offer goes as follows. They told her that her mission would be to catch cheating men, but not just catch them, but she would lure them to their death. They told her they would grant her this power of undeniable beauty, sex appeal, great luck, and not to mention wealth and notoriety. Whatever she wanted, it was hers for the taking. However, all of that would be at the fate of a few unfortunate souls. Chelsea said, as crazy as this sounds, she actually thought about it. What do you guys think Chelsea chose? If you were given the choice, what would you choose? Okay, seriously, there's only 2 more parts of this story, I promise, and I'm sorry, okay? You guys have gotten through more than halfway through, though, So Chelsea agreed to go with luring cheating men into their death in exchange for wealth, notoriety, and just having that je ne sais quoi about her that would just have people be attracted to her without even knowing why. However, Chelsea didn't account for one thing. I'm sure Chelsea didn't see her falling in love with one of the cheaters coming. So Chelsea says after she makes her choice, they gave her this ring. On that ring, they told her to never take that off. Gave her the ring, sent her back to land, and told her that they would basically update her in the forms of dreams. So Chelsea came back to her friends like nothing ever happened, except when she came back, it was entirely the next morning. She came back to her friends panicking, looking for her everywhere because like, yo bro, where did you go? You were missing all night. And Chelsea created a lie. She was like, yeah, basically she was out at the beach. She saw a few people and then time passed her by. She says her assignments would come to her in her dreams. And she says how she receives her assignments in her dream goes as follows. She would just have the entire dream all the way through, if that makes sense. So in her dream, she would be able to see exactly who she's going after, where they would meet, and exactly where to bring them. Imagine her seeing her future self going through with it. She says her first victim was from her school. She had a dream of her actually carrying out the act and, sacrificing this soul. So she knew what to do. However, when was the right time to strike? Like, how would she go about this? She said actually everything happened exactly like it did in her dream. Dude came up to her to speak to her. They got into a conversation. Remember the same melody that the creatures sung to calm her down when she was in the middle of the ocean? The same song that her grandmother used to sing to her to calm her down? That is the same melody or the same humming that she would use to lure these men and put them into trance. So, this guy is like, yeah, we should go on a date. I'm interested in you. And Chelsea's like, that's a great idea. I think we should actually meet up at the beach. And he's like, bet. So the guy's like, bet, let's go to the beach each. Let's go get away. So they get to the beach that night and they do start chilling. I guess Chelsea ain't want to get straight on with it. It was her first time. She ain't never done nothing like this before. She ain't never sacrificed somebody before, so she had to take it slow. Then eventually she starts singing the melody, the song. She starts humming it, and he starts going into this trance. And within him going into the trance, what happens is that it's almost as though they get possessed by something and they just walk into their... So she's singing, and he starts to feel whatever it is come on him. Dude got up, walked straight into the ocean, jumped in the water, and swam as far out as he could. Until this day, no one's ever heard of him or seen him. And she said that was her first victim. And she said the amount of guilt that she experienced from that, she never wanted to do it again. She said she didn't know how to back out, but there was absolutely no way she was going to do this again. Until the mermaids did hold up their half of the deal. Now, she said before this, she was a relatively regular girl. Very much so, girl next door. All of a sudden, she could have anybody she wants. Man or woman. She just had this aura, this sense about her that was so alluring, that was so attractive. People would get lost in her eyes and wouldn't know why. Her hair grew extremely long and shiny. And she said that body yaddy was tea. Never had to work out to obtain it. And then she said the manyan, the money, the bag was bagging. She decided to test her luck and played a lottery. And guess what? She struck pretty lucky. She said officially after winning her first lottery. This is when it's catching up to her that the freaking creatures from the sea a few weeks back did tell her, like, you would be extremely lucky. So had she played with more money, she probably would have got more. Now, what do you do with this newfound luck, notoriety? And on top of that, you are kind of powerful. And knowing that these bitches can't fuck with you. So even though she did feel guilty about the first victim, it was really hard to continue feeling guilty in the midst of everything going so well for her. So after the first victim, Chelsea really started to wonder what would happen if she actually kept that line of service or communication with the creature. Things can only get bigger and better. And she said that she would continue to work with them for a long time without anybody suspecting. She got a visa so quick and also started traveling. So this was bigger than Barbados at this point, because she said she was being sent to specific other places to do the exact same thing. Jamaica, Haiti, and Cuba? And of course, every great thing just kind of has to come to an end, right? And it would all come crashing down when Chelsea would meet who she believes was the love of her life. So it was a regular day and she had the vision that she had to take this life. Except this time, something different happened because she was speaking to him on his way to his doom, the beach. And when they got to the beach, the conversation just kept continuing. Now, Chelsea says that this guy, she could just tell. He was sensitive. He was different. He was sweet. He was a cheater, but he was sweet. He was asking her about herself. He showed genuine interest in the girl and getting to know her and actually wanting to build a genuine relationship with her, which became different for Chelsea at the time because she could pull on anybody that she wants, but she would quickly realize that this is not actually a blessing as much as we think it is, because people are attracted to her for je ne sais quoi, which literally means I don't know why. So she would just go on to develop a lot of empty relationships. But with this guy, her victim, she's actually seeing depth. And like I said, at this point, Chelsea travels and does this. So she is a few souls deep, okay? But there was just really something about this one. Well, she never disobeyed those creatures before, so what's the harm? And as they're sitting on the beach, it actually turned into a real life date. And instead of luring him, Chelsea did not. She didn't even sing to him. Instead, they ended the day with a kiss and plans to meet up again. But what do you think happens when you disobey the Marine Kingdom? This story is nothing that you would expect, okay? It's just so many twists and turns. Like, what? Just wait until you hear the next part because... Well, anyway, while you're at it, make sure you follow me on Instagram so I know that it's real. So I know that you actually love me. And my viewers are tanking a little bit, so make sure you interact with this video so I know that you're still here. I know a lot of you guys were concerned about me because of how I looked in the last video. It is Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. I'm taking it super easy. And I'm doing as fun as I could be doing right now. Taking it real slow and real easy. Thank you guys so much for giving a fuck. Like, I appreciate that a lot. And make sure you follow me on TikTok for more of these spooky stories. You guys, I am so sorry. You have to believe me. Let's get into part 4, the final part. Sorry. So basically, she lures this guy to the beach thinking, you know, she has to end him. However, this guy is incredibly different. Asking her about herself, like he was very sensitive and nothing like the previous guys that, you know, she had to end. So instead of this date ending with her luring him into the water, this date actually ended with them sharing a kiss. And Chelsea never disobeyed before, so she's thinking this should be fine this one time, right? She had a dream that night where she was brought back to the water. In the water, she got confronted by one of those marine spirits asking her why she didn't give the boy up. So this is when she decides maybe it's a good idea for me to plead my case right now. She goes on to explain that this man is different. He is nothing like the previous guys that she had to lure into the water. He's sensitive, he's sweet, and she believes that he can change. And the creature is telling her, well, it doesn't matter how you feel about the situation. It's actually your job to lure these men into the water. So it's not up to you to decide whether they deserve a second chance or not. And Chelsea woke up, but Chelsea was still convinced that she knew this guy more than the mermaids who wanted him knew him. She saw the guy again and again, didn't lure him. And Chelsea will continue to have dates with the guy. Get this. On the beach. So one day, after one of their dates, he leaves and she stays behind on the beach. After the guy leaves, she's looking out into the water and she says suddenly one of them pops up in the water. And she says they're not even saying anything to her telepathically. They just stood there and stared at her. And suddenly, the creature just left. At this point, Chelsea says she's feeling guilty. She's feeling torn. She doesn't know what to do. And she doesn't want to lose any of the benefits that she got. Her beauty, notoriety, like, what should she do? So in that moment, she made a split decision to go into the water and just go after that creature. So she does. And she led her right back to where she was the first time they took her in the water. And the head mermaid, or the head queen, I guess, came out and told her, why aren't you fulfilling your duties? Why aren't you doing what you're supposed to do? And Chelsea would go on, again, state her case and say that she's in love with the boy. He's different, he's sensitive, and she doesn't think that he deserves to be unalived. Now the creature says, who said we were unaliving them? Then said, some of us, we just need servants. You've been doing great. Why'd you stop? Then the creature reminds her that her loyalty should always be with the Marine Kingdom and not with humans, because humans haven't given her half of the things that the Marine Kingdom has given her. So now Chelsea has a tough decision to make. Do you want to go back with the humans, or do you want to work with the marine spirits? So Chelsea goes back, and Chelsea comes to the conclusion that, you know what? She's actually has gotten enough from the Marine Kingdom. I mean, she's in a completely different space in her life now. She's traveled so much. She has money. She has luck. She has beauty, notoriety. She's good right here. That's what she's thinking. Yeah, I'm gonna just... And now I have the opportunity to have a boy? A boy that I like? Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the humans. So Chelsea made her decision that she was no longer going to work with the Marine Kingdoms, that she's had enough blessings from them anyway, and it's time for her to walk away and go be with this boy. How do you break up with mermaids? Them some petty motherfuckers because you want to know what they did? After she made the decision, Chelsea had a dream, and in that dream, that's when she basically stood her ground and says that, thank you for all you've done for me, but I would rather go be happy with my man. My man. And the creature said, are you sure? Because we gave you everything you have. So, are you sure? And Chelsea loved this man so bad that she was sure that even if she had absolutely nothing, that he would still like her. The creatures then reminded her that he is a cheater and your whole job was to lure him to us. He's in a relationship. How is that gonna work? And Chelsea told them that he told her that he was going to leave his girl soon. It was only a matter of time until her and her man were walking hand in hand, getting married. And she had to see it through. She said the creatures turned their backs on her and she woke up. And she says once she woke up, she just knows something was different. She felt different. Her body felt heavier. She said she got up from the bed and went to go look at herself in the mirror. And she said for the first time in a really long time, she did not recognize herself. It is as though she gained 20 pounds overnight. And nope, those pounds did not go to the right places. Not only that, when she got outside, she discovered that her car was broken into and people stole parts of her car. Like her engine, Now she says she was never a saver, so it's not like she saved a bunch of money when she was lucky and when she had an influx of money. She could always just rely that something would work out for her and she would get money. But this time, she might actually have to get a job. But it's okay because she has a man. She went to go meet up with him. They set up another date. She warned him that she might look a little bit different and that she's bloated. She's feeling sick. She went on a date with him and she said immediately upon showing up, he had this look of disgust on his face. It's like he didn't even recognize her. And he said this nice, sweet, sensitive, loving man just hit a complete 180. His entire demeanor towards her was different. Uninterested, unhappy, and quite frankly, disgusted. It was clear that this man no longer had any interest in her. And she said in that moment, in that date, something got over her when she realized that she's just lost everything and that she's about to lose this man too. That it made her act out of character and get on her knees and beg this man to be with her. She said he pushed her away and ran away in embarrassment. Oh bon Dieu. And when she tried to return to the Marine Kingdom, no matter what she did, what songs she would sing, how long she would stay on the beach, or how many dreams she tried to have, or how many times she tried to return to the kingdom, she has been excommunicated. Exiled, if you will, because they made it very clear that they want nothing to do with her. Well, thank you. I finally finished Chelsea's story. And also, Chelsea was sending me these messages, these stories in different parts too. So, okay, I have to scroll through so many messages to like find each story time. I really should be more organized, but that's not. Anyway, make sure you're following me for more mermaid content. Make sure you're following me for more spooky stories, voodoo stories, obia, everything else. If you're not following me on Instagram, is it even real? Before you go, until next time.